defense, individual defense by Bilodeau.
Here's Brock Harding looking. Drew Thelwell will cut loose a three and maybe grade something. Here comes Kobe Johnson.
Well, when you think about Iowa and their offense, they play fast, they pass it ahead, they want to push it, but they also play fast in the half court as Bilodeau knocks down the mid-range to start things off. But transition defense, I mean, you see it right there, off a make, Iowa right back at him.
Wow. So something's got to give applies to pace.
Yes. Well, I don't think UCLA is going to run with them. Now, what's interesting about UCLA this year, they're running more than they ever have as Sky Clark knocks down the three under Mick Cronin. But, again, Iowa's so good offensively, I don't think you want to make this an up-and-down game.
UCLA, so much going on in that four-game losing streak. 3 of those games on the road. One thing was, Don, they were not making threes. They struggled so mightily from beyond the arc. On the tie-up, it'll go to the Bruins.
No, in conference games, they're under 30% as a team. And it's that when you get into conference play and the scouting reports are so good, they're going to pack it in until you prove that you can make threes consistently. So we'll see what Iowa does defensively. But obviously, if UCLA is going to get back on track, they're going to have to start making some more threes consistently.
This is Eric Daly Jr. Get some space in on Thelwell to score. Welcome those of you that just watched a good one between Providence and Villanova here to LA. Iowa and UCLA with Don McClain. I'm Guy Haberman. A game that's really big for both of these teams. UCLA has lost 4 straight, and Iowa is looking for its first quad 1 win of the season. They're 0-5 in those opportunities.
And really contrasting styles. Iowa, the best scoring team in the Big Ten. UCLA holds teams to the least amount of points in the Big Ten. So early on, this game hasn't been fast, but it hasn't been slow either. Like, UCLA's not walking it up, but they're certainly not looking to push either. That's where Bilodeau's so good, guy, in that mid-post area. I like when he doesn't just back guys all the way down with his back turned to the defender, face up, and knock down that mid-post area buckets.
2 field goals in this game for Bilodeau. Now Freeman going at him, and Sky Clark knocked it away. Bilodeau didn't hit a field goal in the game against Rutgers. He was 0-7.
That's the second time Sky Clark's been on the double on Freeman. When he catches it, it's coming from the backside.
Dylan Andrews was sick on that road trip. He's healthy now, and he knocks down the 3.
Really good start for a team that has been struggling offensively, UCLA, especially from behind the three-point line.
Peyton Sanford, he's been a second-half scorer in the last 3 games for Iowa.
Second-half assassin.
I mean, it's been ridiculous. Here's Harding. He finds Sanford, rarely that open, but he can't hit the 3.
Might have been too open. Guys like that are so closely guarded that when they're open, it freaks them out.
Bilodeau gets fouled. Sanford, who fouled him, is down on a knee as well. We look back at the last couple of UCLA baskets.
Look, Tyler Bilodeau's the primary offensive player for UCLA. They put him in a lot of ball screens, get him into that mid-post area, he faces up. I like that stuff from him instead of trying to back guys under and then just simple ball movement. Andrews has not had a good year, but he's capable. Really came on at the end of last year for UCLA in the Pac-12 tournament. Just hasn't really gotten it going here, especially at the offensive end so far this season.
Meanwhile, you can see Peyton Sanford, since he committed that foul, in pain.
Oh,
caught a knee.
In the wrong area.
So he's just taking a moment there. Brad Floyd, the athletics trainer for Iowa, as Bilodeau misses the free throw. Price Sanford, Peyton's younger brother, checked in for him. Fran McCaffrey, winningest coach in Iowa history. A long trip for his team. He sent the team to the Laker game a couple days ago.
Doesn't get enough credit for how good of an offensive coach he is. They just haven't had the national success of, say, like a Purdue and Matt Painter have. But I mean, watching them on tape and then seeing them live, he really can coach offense and has had a tremendous amount of success at Iowa.
He's been in this building many times. as an assistant at Notre Dame here at Pauley.
UCLA certainly isn't trying to down tempo this thing by any stretch.
No. Here's Sky Clark.
Pass.
Bilodeau. And he's got 6 points.
I have a feeling UCLA's had some spirited practices, if you will, since that Rutgers game, and they look sharp here to start this first 4 minutes.
Of course, everybody saw the criticisms from their head coach publicly, Mick Cronin, as Josh Dix, one of the best shooters in the league, hits that three. You know, it was interesting talking to the Iowa staff. They felt like UCLA, they didn't think they played poorly at Maryland and at Rutgers.
Well, that's why I said right off the top, it's not one thing that's hurting them. It's just they were a tick below on offense and a tick below on defense. But right now, offensively, this is as good as I've seen them so far.
It's one thing that's hurting Iowa right now, though. Its name is Tyler Bilodeau. Here's Drew Thelwell. Owen Freeman. And much too small underneath. Dylan Andrews matched up with him, and Freeman scored.
Get back to Josh Dix, because Peyton Sanford gets so much of the headlines, and deservedly so. Josh Dix numbers, splits are ridiculous. 56 from 2, 47 3, 87 from the line. Threatening that elusive 50, 40, 90.
Colby Johnson couldn't handle it clean, so he passes up the three and creates for Daly.
What's on display for UCLA so far? Ball movement. They are moving it and getting whatever they want, whether in the paint or from behind the three-point line.
They're one of the best assisting teams in the league, believe it or not. They're third in the Big Ten in assists per game. Thelwell hounded. Dix, nice move, and it won't go down.
That's what happens when you're such a good perimeter shooter. Guys close hard. That opens up those driving lanes. Dix couldn't get it to go down.
UCLA, now Colby Johnson, the three. UCLA hasn't missed. They're 9 of 9 to start the game, and Iowa needs a timeout.
UCLA off to a tremendous start. The ball movement has been really good. Bilodeau has been the recipient of a lot of it, but everyone getting involved. UCLA up early.
UCLA is off to a fast start, 21-9, and they haven't missed a shot.
21 points in less than 6 minutes, so obviously efficient, haven't missed a shot, but 8 assists on 9 made field goals. That's the ball movement that I'm talking about. Iowa's got to stiffen up here a little bit. They're lucky that they're only down 12 at this point with the offensive start that UCLA has had.
8 assists on 9 field goals. The
I
USC
think more
shot.
Importantly than that, guy, 3 for 3 from behind the three-point line.
USC was 10 of 15 from 3 the other night and shot 65% in the win over Iowa.
Look, Iowa's an elite offensive team, but if they're going to win Big Ten games, the defense has to be better.
Laji Dembele off the bench, can't connect there. Still no Peyton Sanford for Iowa, who left the game after a collision with Tyler Bilodeau.
Like to see Daly go to work there. Got the smaller Brock Harding on him.
Colby Johnson just hit a three, and UCLA misses for the first time after 6 minutes and 38 seconds. Foul was on Price Sanford, his first second-team foul.
You know, we were talking early, Guy, about why UCLA this 4-game losing streak. What was the problem or problems, and it wasn't one thing or another. The schedule hasn't been easy either. With the travel, and I'm not making excuses for UCLA, but it's different. And so it's easy when you're not right, all the way right, to lose Big Ten games.
Daly, difficult shot. He makes it over Dix.
He can do that. There's a lot of good things for this UCLA team. Fills up the stat sheet, and he sees an advantage with a smaller player on him. He can do that, go down on the block and score it.
Seydou Traore, and as kind as the rim has been on the other end for UCLA, it's been unkind to Iowa. Bruins 5 of 7 on the road. Now a streak 5 of 7 coming at home. Sky Clark hits the 3.
Sometimes shooting is contagious. I don't have actual data to back that up, but it is. And I think that's what's happening here with UCLA. They hit their first couple, the guys see it go in, now everybody's a little more confident.
Brock Harding.
Do you have any data to back that up, if shooting's contagious?
I don't. But we'll effort.
Yes. We'll be looking for a while, I have a feeling.
Here's Daly, and he gets fouled. Third foul on the Hawkeyes. All right, let's look, see if you see anything contagious here.
I was talking more from the three-point line, but Daly's he's got good touch down there. A lot of his stuff comes in that painted area inside the foul line. And then Sky Clark, who hasn't shot it great this year, from behind the line, 33%, gets that one to go down.
It's 11 field goals and 12 shots right now. That's 91.7%.
I'd say that's a good start, and I would be shocked if they finished the game at 91%.
Okay, out on a limb. Peyton Sanford, good to see him back in.
Yeah.
Iowa could use him right now.
Well, on the flip side, we're talking about how good UCLA's offense is. This elite offensive team in Iowa's only got 9 points in the first almost 8 minutes.
The #1 scoring team in the country. They average almost 90 a game. Reminiscent of Purdue scoring 20 in the first half against Washington the other night.
See, Guy, when UCLA's defense is right and it's locked in, engaged, and attention to detail with the scouting report, they're really good, and they've been good. We're talking about the offense, but the defense has been good too.
Under 12, UCLA still shooting it well, leading by 21 here at Pauley.
So much.
You also have a dedicated fund with American Red Cross, correct?
Yes, UCLA Health has a dedicated fund for the American Red Cross. These LA Strong t-shirts. UCLA is providing housing for employees who've lost their homes. We also have a FEMA disaster area to set up on UCLA, the West Side campus. So there are a lot of things going on to really help and support our community.
What has it been? I mean, there's obviously not a playbook for this stuff. In your role, you've encountered all kind of challenges, but you know, how did you even begin? Where do you even begin in a situation like this?
Well, you know, this has affected so many people across socioeconomic lines, across geographic lines. Everybody in this community has felt this. They either know someone that's lost everything or been evacuated. So this is something that has touched our entire community. And you just have to focus first on your family and take care of that, and then everybody that is in our community, our students, student athletes, students, employees, and just everybody that's lost so much, especially in the Pacific Palisades and Altadena, and you know, just trying to come together to help however we can.
How does it bleed into your job, though, Martin, in terms of whether to keep sports going, not keep games, canceling, postponing, all that kind of stuff? What's that been like?
Yeah, you know, I want to thank the university administration and everybody on campus that's really worked hard to help us be here tonight in Pauley. You know, I felt it was really important for us to play this game here tonight. I've talked to, every day this week, I've talked to 5 to 7 people that have lost their homes and lost everything. And the one thing that people kept saying was, I want to come together. I want to be with other people to come together. And so it was important for us to have this game on campus. So I just want to thank our administration and everybody that worked really hard to allow us to have this game here and bring everybody together so we can lean on each other and support one another.
So there was some possibility that this game might not be played.
Oh yeah, I mean that was I mean, we didn't know until Wednesday about this game being played here. So just with everything going on, you're just trying to take care of everybody. But I think it's important to come together and start to rebuild and be there for one another, and that's what we're trying to do. If we can give everybody a little bit of joy and fun to momentarily to just take some of that away from them.
It certainly seems like your team wanted to play tonight.
Oh man, 31-10. Wow, I didn't even realize. Yeah, I think they really wanted to be back. You know, they've been on the road for a while, and these wildfires, I mean, I'm telling you, it's affected everybody in such an impactful way, including this team and our coaches. So I think it's good to be back in our own confines, and you see the way we're playing right now.
Yeah, I think people don't, if you don't know the geography of the LA's obviously a very big place. You can go 10 miles to the south, and there are people there who were not anywhere near an evacuation zone. But here you were on campus very close to the possibility. In fact, there was an evacuation last week. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, depending on the wind and the gust, I mean, it changed directions and it changed who was in stake and risk. So, again, it's impacted everybody, but it's been really cool to see our community coming together and supporting one another and the resilience that we have in our community. I have no doubt we're going to rebuild and go from here and be stronger for it. Your women's basketball team has also gotten pretty involved, haven't they? Yes, they have. They have. A couple of our teams. Women's basketball has done a drive. Our softball program did a drive yesterday for first responders and their families. Our teams have really jumped in to really support and serve our community, and it's been cool to see young people step up and help. Yeah, that's what, and I said this the other day, Martin, that this is obviously a horrible tragedy, but it's happened in Southern California, but I've lived here my whole life. But what's uplifting is when you see the humanity in the aftermath of this stuff and people doing whatever they can, no matter what walk of life you're from, chipping in to try and help people that have been directly affected. Yeah, you never know the capacity that people have to care and to help one another until you go through a really significant challenge. And that's one thing that you've seen in this community, that everyone is stepping up and trying to help. Donation centers, FEMA, food, it's such a tough tragedy for so many people, but the good thing is, it's something that can be rebuilt and come back from, and that's what we're banking on. You have 25 sports here. That's a lot of student athletes, and I know you are very present, right? You're a lot of different practices. You're always around and checking in. How much of that have you been doing? I mean, because the one thing you notice being around here is the question, how are you doing? Yes. Has a very different weight to it. Yeah, right now. You have to ask people. You have to check in with people. I've told our staff that, our coaches, how are you feeling? How are you doing? We had to put a little over 50 student athletes in hotels. We had to, obviously, our women's basketball game played Penn State Wednesday night. They had to play at Long Beach. Shout out to Long Beach State and their administration for allowing us to play a basketball game on short notice. We played Penn State and won. So, our kids are resilient. Young people are resilient, and they've weathered this storm and will continue to. It's going to take a while. I mean, we'll be feeling the impact of this for a long time. Make no mistake about that. But we're going to stay together, and we're going to get through this, and we've got each other. Students come back on Tuesday? Yeah, right? We're going to be full go as far as classes on campus on Tuesday, and then we also have a men's basketball game Tuesday night against Wisconsin. So it'll be good to have everybody back here in town. Again, you saw the T-shirts. You can go to Fanatics, get the special UCLA specific design. The website donates all those proceeds directly to the Red Cross and to the LA Fire Department. Absolutely. And, I think the other thing is the winds have died down. There's some reports that the winds could pick back up next week, but it's not. It's still ongoing. This situation, while in a much better place than it was a few days ago, right, is still an ongoing fire. Yeah, I think everybody, especially that are not here, need to understand this is something that's going to take a while. Just from the cleanup efforts to just the displacement of so many people. This is gonna be with us for a while, and I appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers that have sent it out from other schools and other communities. But we're gonna work through this, and we're gonna be there for each other. But it's gonna take a little bit to get back from it. Meanwhile, your team is stretching it out here. 5-7 at home is maybe a good thing for them right now. I don't want to jinx. I haven't been watching the score, but but no, it's good to see us play well, and defensively, 13 points. That's what I'm really proud of. This team is going to make their mark on the defensive end, in my opinion, and to see this defensive effort, 13 points with almost 8 minutes left, is significant. You seem like an optimistic man. I mean, a 4-game losing streak, but I mean, this team had some really good quality wins early, some great opportunities still left. Net top 40. Your team's still in pretty good position. Oh, absolutely. Net top 40, two big wins at Oregon, against Gonzaga. We played well. We have stretches. You're going to have a stretch where you're not guarding as well. You're not doing some things. But this is a good team. This is a talented team, and Mick is a great coach, and I have no doubt that they were going to respond, and you see tonight how they're responding. So, and probably much different, Martin, than
you know, the Big Ten is just a bigger, stronger conference than the Pac-12 was in basketball.
It's
it
deep.
just is. It's tougher schedule. It is.
It's very deep. There's no nights off, and you got to bring it every night. And you know, that's Big Ten basketball for you. That's why a lot of teams get into the tournament.
38-16. They're shooting 70%, by the way. We'll just update that.
Are we really 70%?
Yeah, it's
Which are we
70%.
more surprised by, though? UCLA with 38 with 7.5 to go, or Iowa with only 16 with 7:27 to go?
And Peyton Sanford is hurt again, so as he walks off, Martin Jarman, Director of Athletics here at UCLA. I know it's a trying time. Appreciate you making
Thanks,
time.
Martin.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on. Thank you. Go Bruins.
Great to be here.
All right.
Seven to go.
And Peyton Sanford is hurt again, so as he walks off, Martin Jarman, Director of Athletics here at UCLA. I know it's a trying time. Appreciate you making
Thanks,
time.
Martin.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on. Thank you. Go Bruins.
Great to be here.
All right.
When I was younger, my call
To continue an incredible rookie season as he leads the Commanders against Jared Goff and the top-seeded Lions in a divisional playoff matchup tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern on Fox. It has been an incredible offensive performance for UCLA. They have 15 made field goals to Iowa's 16 points.
12 assists on 15 made field goals for UCLA as well. Only 4 assists on 6 made field goals for Iowa. And Peyton Sanford, for that last time out, walked off the court, looked like he was in some pain. And don't see him out there.
No, he was grabbing at his shoulder, and that caused the stoppage. UCLA with the most first half points in a conference game this year already. They had 37 in the first half against Michigan. They have 38 now with 7:27 remaining in the half.
I don't know what Mick Cronin and staff did this week in practice, but this has been impressive offensively in this first half.
Maybe they just slept in their own beds.
Maybe.
This team is, you know, there was some question, how would UCLA respond to getting challenged as publicly as they did by their coach?
Well, I think one thing that for me in getting to know this Big Ten conference is just how hard it is to win on the road. And, you know, they're home tonight, Iowa on the road. You're just better. And getting road wins in the Big Ten seemingly is very difficult for everybody, especially this year when there's so much parity in the league.
That's Michigan last night at Minnesota.
Exactly.
Here's Josh Dix, need this, in and out. But an offensive rebound for Price Sanford.
I think the one game, the outlier for UCLA, though, was the Michigan game here. And not so much that Michigan beat them, but the score with which they beat them with.
94-75 was that score. This is against UCLA on Bilodeau.
His ball movement by Iowa, interior passing, Freeman. Bilodeau got him.
You know, speaking of, you know, UCLA scoring and shooting at a rate they normally don't, they're also not fouling. UCLA commits the second most fouls in the league.
Which is weird because since Mick Cronin has been here, his teams have been very, very good defensively without fouling. This is the first year where they've been pretty good for the most part defensively, but have fouled, which is interesting because they're way more of a veteran group than he's had for the most part. That Hawkes Tiger Campbell year, they were a veteran group.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe one thing you'd point to, Don, veteran, but not a returning veteran group, right? The new pieces fitting together. Not all. Sebastian Mack is back.
But does that really pertain to fouling? No, I get it if offensive execution or defensive rotations, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that seems like that's more of an individual thing.
Bilodeau is down on the other end, so Iowa is playing 5-on-4, and Price Sanford can't take advantage.
Bilodeau, I need to get him out of there.
He is limping badly, and now the officials are going to stop play. Paul Sells, Randy Richardson, Tim Comer are officials. Let's see if we can see.
Well, Bilodeau's dad was a hockey player, so you know he's tough.
He was a hockey player, still plays a little hockey. And you tell from that.
That's hard to tell what happened there.
Lazar Stefanovic.
I would go into some zone here.
Dylan Andrews. Eric Daly. And the ball loose down to the floor, and Will Kyle comes away with it.
They can use him. UCLA not very big, and a lot's riding on Tyler Bilodeau. When we talk about defense and rebounding for UCLA, they have to start getting more of a contribution from Kyle and from Mara. If you're going to compete in the Big Ten, rebounding is such a big deal in this league. If you're starting small, you got to have guys coming up, bigs coming off the bench that can give you some production.
Falano and Freeman. Mick Cronin said, I want to play big, but my big guys got to be able to be on the floor for me.
Well, you got to get stuff done. You can't just be out there. Be a presence in the paint, rebound.
Dylan Andrews. Get him way up in the air overall with Freeman.
To see Andrews get back on track. Sometimes you only need one shot, one game, one half. Played well here in the first half tonight.
6 of 18 shooting for Iowa, 2 of 7 from 3. Carter Kingsbury has come in off of the bench. Now Thelwell, who can really create. Nice move for him.
Nice left too. Went into the defender looking for the contact, got it, didn't get the whistle, but still finished the play. Nice play by Thelwell.
Daly. Now here's Andrews. And he hits.
I like that he didn't turn that shot down. He hasn't been shooting great all year. And sometimes when guys are struggling, they'll pull that down and continue to run offense. Put it up, got it to go now.
Stefanovic knocked that away. Kyle for the dunk. And Stefanovic with the interception. And that'll go out of bounds to the Bruins. 3:51 remaining here in the first.
UCLA has been clicking on all cylinders here tonight offensively. This time defense leading to offense. Will Kyle with the finish.
The itch and rash of moderate to severe eczema disrupts.
All right, Mike, thank you.
The great Mike Hill.
That's right. Casey Jacobson is with
Oh, is
Mike
he in there too?
He heard everyone's getting shots up tonight. He's actually in his car on his way over here right now to try and throw on a uniform.
But it's actually the opposite. UCLA, take a look at those offensive numbers. Just off the charts for this UCLA team that has done it with defense most of this season, but breaking out on the offensive end tonight.
It's our game summary sponsored by Progressive. Get slam dunk savings today. Casey heard defense is required. He turned around and he's driving back.
What am I still doing here?
Well, yeah, good question. You have to be here. Will Kyle scores it.
Just not enough resistance from this Iowa defense. UCLA, look, give them credit. They've been really sharp, but just UCLA's getting whatever they want in the paint and on the perimeter. Usually it's one or the other, but they have both tonight.
Still no Peyton Sanford for Iowa, who's got her early return, got injured again, and is not returned as Thelwell gets aggressive again and gets fouled this time by Lazar Stefanovic.
This is a great sign, Guy, for UCLA that Will Kyle has come in here and had a positive impact on this game because they are going to need him. We just talked about it before the last break. They need size in this league. Tyler Bilodeau can't do it by himself, so the more Kyle can come in and be productive, the more he's going to play and the more he's going to help UCLA.
Oh, Thelwell misses the free throw. It's a 74% free throw shooter.
Iowa trying to mix it up a little bit, pick up full, try and speed this game up, although it hasn't been slow. I anticipated UCLA really trying to down-tempo this thing and walk it up.
10-second violation. The ball maintains its backcourt status until it's touched in the front court, and that violation occurred with the ball in midair.
But that strategy doesn't always work. If you're walking it up every time, how hard is it for your half-court offense to get into a rhythm? It's been done. Like West Virginia did it at Kansas a couple weeks ago, but it's awfully hard to be really good offensively when you're trying to slow the pace down.
Brock Harding looking for somebody.
They need something good to happen here the last 3 minutes of this one. It should try and get any sort of momentum going into halftime.
Shot clock is at 3. Freeman at 1, doesn't see it.
I think the scoreboard is affecting Iowa now. They're down 28. You can just tell looking at the body language, a little deflated. But UCLA has been really, really good.
Evan Bronze, the senior, comes in as Freeman sits down. Chris Taggio also on the floor. Bronze and Taggio, a couple guys that don't play a ton.
I think Fran McCaffrey just searching for any combination that can potentially make a run.
And Peyton Sanford still not.
Got to start with getting stops.
2.5 minutes remaining in this first half. When we talk about the fact that, UCLA spent all this time traveling 8,000 miles in 10 days, the same is true for the teams coming out here. This is a long trip for Iowa
for 2 games. Got out here Sunday.
Andrews missed the rim, and that's a shot clock violation. And it may have affected them against USC the other night. On the body clock, certainly. We could debate, is it harder going one way or the other, but the fact is it's not what your body's used to either direction.
I think it's who you're playing when you go that way or this way, too.
Here's Harding, and he hits the 3. But, I mean, Don, you could say, Washington is at the bottom of the league right now, and Illinois and Purdue both went there and struggled.
Maryland lost. Washington beat Maryland.
Yep. Extra pass. It's a long 2, and Daly can't connect. Here comes Harding.
What Iowa needed here, a little jolt here at the end.
Little chance to push, but
that's not
the ball
help.
Turned over. Daly sees Kyle.
You can throw it up there anywhere for Will Kyle, and he'll finish it.
Wow. Is there such a thing as a perfect half?
Not sure, but Daly's just like, I'll chuck it up there anywhere. He'll figure it out. There's so many good things that have happened in this first half for UCLA, Guy, and I'm going to say it again, that Will Kyle can get some confidence and understand how he's going to impact the game. Moving forward, how much that's going to help UCLA as they continue to go through the Big Ten regular season.
Iowa just used a second timeout because they couldn't get the ball in. This is the first meeting between these two teams since 1990, December 22nd. 34 years was the last time these two met. It wasn't that long ago because, Don, you played in the game.
It wasn't that long ago.
That was
30 years ago.
Don and Tracy Murray, your teammate, who is here because he's part of the UCLA broadcast team. I don't remember about Iowa Fieldhouse.
I don't remember the stats,
meeting,
but
this one,
I'll give you 2 things I remember about this game. There was no heat on the bus going to the arena, and I chased one of the officials up the tunnel after the game. That's all you need to know, those 2 things.
There's Tracy Murray. The first meeting was back in 1950 in the Iowa Fieldhouse, which were closed before you guys went and played at the Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Yeah, that was back when during conference play you would have the Saturday open because you played USC during the week. I don't think that those non-conference games we played. What was the date on that game?
December 22nd.
So it was right before league play started, or I forget if we started league play back then before then.
Do you think there was any funny business with the bus? Is that why the heat didn't work?
Oh, it was cold in the arena. It was cold on the bus. That's all I can tell you. And I'm not going to say who it was, but I voiced my displeasure at the end of the game with how the game was officiated. If you can believe that.
We could throw the box score back up and I could guess.
No, let's not do that. But you know what's weird about that game, Guy? It wasn't a home and home. Iowa never came here. Like, why did we?
No, this is the return game.
Yeah, we'll play again in 30 years.
Yeah. The first meeting we mentioned that was John Wooden's 3rd year as the coach at UCLA. Back in 1950. Raleigh Williams, who spent 42 years at Iowa.
All you need to know how old I'm getting is that box score was done by hand.
And typewriter. I think the starters were in typewriter. Under a minute remaining here in the first half. Andrews has 11 first half points. And Daly joins him in double figures.
So good. I mentioned it earlier. So good at those off balance, off rhythm shots around the painted area. Gets another one to go down.
And a foul called on Will Kyle.
You mentioned earlier about UCLA and their fouling so far this year. Only the 4th team foul this half for UCLA. So doing a much better job tonight.
Bruins started 11-2, then lost 4 in a row. But they only have lost once here at home, and that was to Michigan. Now, Iowa does not have a true road win yet this year. They're 0-3. And there's another turnover. That's the 12th of the game for the Hawkeyes.
Nope.
Shot clock off. Andrews sees it. Andrews hits the jumper. A 57-point first half for the Bruins. And we were not lied to. He looks great. Peyton Sanford, as Iowa commits the foul, it's on Owen Freeman. It's his second. We should mention that Peyton Sanford, the leading scorer for Iowa, 17 points per game, it will not return tonight.
Looks like he's got some ice on that shoulder. You were right, Guy.
Maybe even a sling.
Something.
Bilodeau kicks it out. And that ball goes skipping out of bounds to Iowa.
Dylan Andrews should have shot the first one. He was open and then drove it.
This is the first half. This is the play under the basket. Peyton Sanford. This is where he got hurt in the first half. And that is the reason he will miss the rest of this game. So Iowa not only has to dig out, but they have to dig out without.
Let's hope for Iowa nothing too serious moving forward. Forget tonight. Moving forward, they need him.
17
obviously.
points a game. 11th in the conference in scoring. And a foul on Tyler Bilodeau. I mean, this thing has been, it'd be one thing if UCLA had a bunch of points and Iowa had a bunch of points, or if Iowa didn't have many points and UCLA didn't have many points. But UCLA does not score like this, and Iowa scores a ton of points, and it's both opposites have occurred.
I thought this was going to be a very good game, just based on the fact UCLA coming off those 4 losses, Iowa coming off that loss to USC. UCLA was just ready right from the jump.
And Mick Cronin, everybody that he played so well that we didn't really see everybody that normally gets into a game. Adai Mara didn't play in the first half. Trent Perry.
I bet you we're going to see him here in the second half.
They may not be the only ones if this continues. Daly misses that. It's a shot clock violation. Kobe Johnson.
The one thing I'd like to see UCLA do more of, because I think Bilodeau is going to run into some matchups he doesn't like on that low block in mid post. They do run a lot of high ball screens. I'd like to see him get in that short roll area and the UCLA guards deliver that pass. Get that pass to him, and then he's got to make decisions at the foul line, either for himself or spray it out to shooters.
Aji Dembele has it poked away by Daly.
I just think Bilodeau's got the skill set to play in that area. Not everyone does. He can make that foul line jump shot, but he's also got a pretty good understanding and IQ. I think it would just unlock so much more of UCLA's offense rather than just straight posting him on the blocker or stepping out to the mid post.
14th turnover for Iowa. They're on the travel from Harding. That was a tough trip for Bilodeau. That Rutgers game.
You know he's coming now. And you and I talked about this. I remember at the Oregon game that a different role for him. Yes, he made a big jump from freshman to sophomore at Oregon State, but wasn't the guy. Jordan Pope was. He is now the #1 line item on the scouting report for UCLA. And you're talking about Big Ten basketball. Like, they're not just going to let you waltz into their place on the road and get your, 14 to 20 points.
No, the opponent won't and the crowd won't.
Well, and so that's why I was saying earlier about that short roll game. It opens up a lot more than you just posting up.
Dembele hits a three. He does not shoot a lot of them, but he shoots a good percentage. He's over 40% on the season. He's part of the key just moving forward for the rest of the season for Iowa.
And again, let's hope nothing long-term for Sanford.
Yep.
Not good when you start talking about shoulder.
Andrews wide open. And a whistle underneath. The foul is on Bilodeau.
Again, moving him around. When you straight post, it's easy to double. It's easy to just take him out. But if you get him in this area, right there's that short roll area, make the pass. You got high-low, you got opposite. You got a lot of options when you get into that short roll area. But it's up to the UCLA guards to be able to deliver that. It's easier said. It's not as easy as it's said to make that pass and deliver it, not get it tipped or deflected or intercepted.
There's Dix. That's pure. Bilodeau just sat down. You saw him watching at the bench. He has 3 fouls. Will Kyle had a really good first half. Comes in for UCLA. 2 dunks in the first half for Kyle.
UCLA's content that they're intentionally running clock, but I don't think they're in a hurry either with the score being the way it is.
Offensive foul on Eric Daly, his first. 3rd team foul. UCLA committed 4 fouls in the whole first half. UCLA's going to get Wisconsin here early next week. Wisconsin got to town yesterday. They're going to play at USC tomorrow.
You and I will be there tomorrow. I'm interested in looking forward to seeing Wisconsin in person. Have you seen? I know you haven't done a lot of prep yet. You got a quick turnaround.
The game's at noon.
But I've never seen this deep into the season a team shooting 85% from the free throw line. And if it stays, it shatters the NCAA record. Shatters it.
Really?
Like the old record, I think, is 82 or 83. So if they stay around 85 for a college team, that's unheard of. And I've been around here a long time. Like if an NBA team is in the 80s, that's good.
Yeah.
For a college team to be at 85 with played 17, 18 games, whatever it is, unreal.
Something to watch for tomorrow.
Something's got to give tomorrow. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Right. Daly. Harding goes down, and the basket counts. Daly's fouled by Dembele. Oh, pardon me, the foul's on Dix.
Well, he likes operating down around the paint. Not always in the paint, around the paint. That one was. Big physical player takes the hit and finishes the play.
He's playing well tonight. The three-point shot has abandoned him a little bit, and it hasn't returned tonight. He's the only one not making threes, but everything else he's doing well.
I just think overall, this is what UCLA needed. Kind of get their, I hate the term mojo, but get their mojo back on the offensive end.
Why do you hate mojo?
I don't know.
It's
I
not
don't
really
know why I just used it after I said I hated it.
It's not really your vibe.
No.
It's not a big mojo.
I hate X Factor too.
Yeah. but you love contagious. Dembele can't hit.
If I could find some data to back it up, I'd really like it.
You know, the argument is always that the data doesn't, right? That there's no momentum's not a thing.
Right. And made shots is a thing too.
UCLA with 15 minutes to go, looking like nothing's changing in this second half.
Saturday.
And I think it's just us, because Indiana and Ohio State are in overtime on Fox right now.
You don't think this one's going to overtime?
You know what? If it did, what a story it would be.
Yes.
Largest lead of the night for UCLA is 35.
Indiana's hard to figure out. Arguably the most talented team in the league, but just so inconsistent up and down.
They're 4-3 in the league as a foul's called on Thelwell. Ohio State's 2-4 in the league. You know, you and I were talking. So you got Michigan State now that's 6-0, and they're going to play Illinois on Sunday. So, you know, it's possible there's no undefeateds in league play after that. But Purdue 6-1, Michigan was 5-0. They're 5-1 now. Illinois is 5-2, and Oregon plays Purdue tomorrow, and Oregon's 4.
Big game tomorrow.
And look, you mentioned Wisconsin, they're 4-2, and they're playing SC tomorrow.
It's what everybody, the narrative at Big Ten Media Day and before the season started was there is no dominant team, and there isn't. It was more about which 4 or 5 teams are going to emerge as the regular season title contenders, and I think that focus is starting to narrow somewhat. But the thing that is interesting to me is how much opportunity you have to help yourself in this league, right? Like there's so many quad 1 opportunities as you go through the regular season. Like if you get hot and rip off 6, 7 in a row, who knows what that can do for your resume.
Mack gets fouled by Dembele.
I mean, Wisconsin's won 6 in a row.
Yep.
Coming into tomorrow.
I mean, to the point, like here's Iowa. They're going to fall to 0-6 in quadrant 1 games tonight. But they're still going to play Purdue. They're still going to play Illinois. They're going to play Oregon. They're going to go to Maryland. They're going to play Michigan State. They're going to go to Nebraska.
And that's a great example because here's the thing. Their net is 49-ish right now.
Yeah.
Which is still in play. Like you're not out of it, but you're probably not in it either. But you win 4 or 5 games in a row and you beat the right people and all of a sudden you got 3 quad 1 wins. Who knows what your net is?
You're right. They're on. I mean, Mike DeCourcy had them coming into today, first 4 out, so on the bubble.
They're right there.
And obviously that's not going to change for the better for Iowa today, but
no,
there's plenty of time left. Meanwhile, and the same could be said, you know, coming into this game, Iowa will be saying tonight the same thing UCLA was saying 2 hours ago. Yeah, we lost 4 in a row. Now, the difference was UCLA had 3 quadrant 1 wins. They're going to, you know, have more opportunities to add to that. But UCLA's had some really good wins on their resume coming into play today. They beat Oregon, they beat Arizona, they beat Gonzaga. Arizona hasn't lost since UCLA beat them.
Because of the 4-game losing streak, their net has dropped to 37-ish. But they say in the net rankings, margin of victory doesn't matter, but it does because all your metrics are through the roof. So you wonder what tomorrow morning UCLA's net's going to look like.
Think they're going to be 15 tomorrow?
No.
The biggest jump in
right
net basketball history. Here's Daly trying to break the seal, and he does. His first 3 of the night after 4 misses. You can check every box now. He's got 19.
I can tell you what Nick Cronin's saying at these timeouts, that we played so well in the first half. Let's not just give it away in the second half. Stay with it. Don't play the scoreboard. Continue to work your habits, and let's really get back in a groove offensively and finish this last 13-plus minutes playing the way we've played all night.
You know, the thing with UCLA, too, Don, you look at their schedule. Here's Sebastian Mack. we say 5 of their next 7 are on the road, but they're at Washington and USC. So, you know,
different than the road games they've had recently.
Very different. Obviously, SC's a bust. But Mick Cronin made a comment yesterday. He said, you know, we've had a hard time adjusting. Yeah, we won some games early in the Big Ten, but those were teams we're familiar with. Now we've entered a space where we're playing teams we're not. So 5 of 7 at home, but it's really, you know, it's 6 of 7 not getting on a plane, and the one plane you get on is to Washington.
Still got to win them, though. Is it more difficult because of the travel or the environment? And I said that. That was the first thing I said when this whole thing happened. Everyone was talking about the travel, and yes, the travel is a thing. But to me, it was more about you are now going to venues that you haven't seen before, that have more people in them than you're used to, that were in the Pac-12, in a much more difficult place to try and win.
They will go to Illinois, and they will go to Purdue. I think you felt that way when they went to Nebraska, right?
Yeah. In those environments, they are loud, and it ain't 5,000 people, it's 15,000 people.
There's Mac. They'll go to Indiana as well. Indiana won. They beat Ohio State in overtime by 1 tonight. Take another look at Sebastian Mack.
Ooh, it's what he does.
Third foul on Dembele.
Both teams in the bonus with 12:53 to go.
He went up to dunk that, didn't he? And then got bumped.
Potentially.
Owen Freeman coming off the career high 23. Josh Dix.
And he is pure, man. Quick catch and shoot corner. I was telling somebody the other day, guy, about shooting. And it's like, I forget who we were talking about, but it's somebody that needs to improve. Good slasher like Sebastian Mack can get to the paint, get to the rim. And the evolution of shooting. And it's like a lot of these guys practice stationary catch and shoot. And they spend hours in the gym just stationary, they're static. Well, there's a whole progression of becoming a really good shooter. You got catch and shoot stationary. You got catch and shoot on the move, which you're moving, sliding up, sliding down. You got catch and shoot sprinting to a spot like out off a pin down. But then the whole other thing that a lot of guys don't work on is threes off the bounce. Can you make them off the bounce in transition? Can you make it out of screen roll game? And then the last one is, can you make it stepping behind a ball screen? That's kind of the evolution of shooting. Like, if you think you're going to be a 6'4" guy playing in the NBA, you better have all that. And so people talk about improving shooting and looking at percentages. Well, what shots are you taking from behind the line? Like the great Donovan Mitchell. Didn't become Donovan Mitchell until he learned how to step behind a ball screen and make that shot. Everybody went under on him because of his explosive athletic ability. And then he really took off once he was able to make that shot.
Well, Eric Daly's been making everything tonight. A career high 21 points for him. The turnaround with the touch, 77-42. UCLA putting it on Iowa.
Monday on.
Well, what a change it's been. The last 4 games, you see the numbers for UCLA from 3. They really struggled. The first 13 games they shot it well. Tonight they're shooting it great.
Obviously a jump up in level of competition for the most part. Now they had Gonzaga and Arizona and North Carolina. But you just wonder, and I said this in the first half, what this will do for them moving forward in terms of confidence from behind that three-point line.
Eric Daly Jr. career high 21. He's got the ball here. Here's Kobe Johnson, who's had a really good all-around game, assisting, scoring, and defending. Johnson's got 5 assists and 6 rebounds. Josh Dix gets free, and he hits the 3. He can shoot it.
He can really shoot, man.
when you look at his shot chart, every part of the floor is red. At the rim, key, corners, top of the key, 2s and 3s.
You can shoot them from wherever. Guys that can really shoot can shoot. Doesn't matter what area of the floor you're on.
Halfway through this second half. Then Kobe Johnson banks it in.
Everything going right tonight for UCLA.
From the beginning, remember they made their first 9 shots today.
Don't see that very often.
No, Iowa had to take a timeout. This game started so fast. If you're wondering, was this game close at any point? No, it wasn't. This game was only
UCLA
close
jumped
to the
them
tip.
and never looked back.
Riley Mulvey will step to the line. Foul on Eric Daly, his 3rd. So who's the most complete shooter that you played with? If you can't name yourself.
Complete shooter? I don't think that's a category.
Okay.
It's who's the best shooter?
Who's the best shooter?
Because again, if you could shoot from behind the 3-point, if you really can shoot, you're good from beyond the line, you're good in the mid-range, you're good everywhere. In that argument, most people that really know shooting and teach shooting will tell you the best shooter who's never considered the best shooter. Now, we're not talking in-game playoffs, winning shots, all that. Just in a gym by yourself, who's the best shooter? You know who they'd say?
Who?
Steve Nash.
Wow.
Steve Nash. From people that really know.
Did you ever watch him in an empty, like a gym? You're talking.
No, but there's guys that like Peja Stojakovic.
Yeah.
There's legendary stories about him being in a gym and like not missing for 3 or 4 minutes.
Here's Price Sanford, taught to shoot by his grandfather, Pops, who I know is watching. Brian Larson, who was the shooting coach for Price and Peyton Sanford and their coach up until they got to high school. Peyton said that their grandfather Pops texted him after the SC game, or earlier in the year, not after the SC game, but earlier in the year, and said your jump shot is too flat. Get some more arc. You could see Price had quite a bit of arc on that last jumper. So I mean, you qualified it with the best pure shooter, kind of not in a game, although Nash was a great shooter.
Yeah, like Reggie Miller's considered the best clutch shooter or one of the best clutch shooters. Ray Allen, guys like that. I'm just saying, if you had you get 100 shots, or no, not 100, that's too easy. Stephen Curry. Now that I think about it, if you want to talk about complete, because I always said for a long time early in his career, he was the best off the bounce 3-point shooter we've ever seen. And I think he's morphed into the best 3-point shooter we've ever seen.
So you didn't answer the question. I shouldn't say you didn't finish your thought. You said 100 shots. So make it 500 shots.
500 shots.
Okay. So
yeah.
who you got?
I think it's Steve Nash.
Okay. Isn't Larry Bird going to walk in the room and say,
Larry Bird's going to walk in the room? There's a lot of people
tonight
that are going to walk in the room. The point is that Steve Nash is in that conversation when no one else would think of him as in that conversation because of how he played. You know, that 7 seconds or less in Phoenix wasn't like a lot of him 3-point shooting.
There's Will Kyle having himself a great night.
Yeah, he's really had a good night.
He's got 10 points. 5 Bruins now into double figures. And when you think about what's coming next for UCLA, Will Kyle is a key for them, is he not? He's not at the top of the list, but you would say, in Mick Cronin's mind, Will Kyle's a key.
No doubt, and I think Mara is too. We haven't seen him tonight, but again, rebounding in the Big Ten is a huge deal. And UCLA's not real big unless those guys can play and be productive. Bill Dozier 5. And he needs some help off that bench. But I would imagine, Guy, that Will Kyle is going to play a lot more in their next game than he has been.
Here he is with it again. Attacking. And Brock Harding comes away, pushing. 3 points for Harding in this game. UCLA has assisted.
That was off the bounce that time.
Oh, he's got 16. UCLA has assisted on 24 of 32 field goals today. We've got a held ball. Arrow will go to Iowa. Well, what a difference a week makes. So much frustration. Everybody on edge. Was the season headed the wrong direction? And the Bruins looked like they
were the floor the other night too. And here we are a couple nights later, and UCLA shooting 65% from the floor. So if they're going to compete and win games in the Big Ten, they have to pair better defense with this really good offense that they have.
They get Minnesota and Penn State at home coming up, then go to Ohio State. You just saw Peyton Sanford there, and you can probably tell he had his left arm in a sling. 7 minutes remaining here in regulation. Price Sanford gives it up to Josh Dix, who's had by far the best night tonight for Iowa with his 19 points. Price Sanford gets fouled, and the basket counts. Fouls on Lazar Stefanovic.
Just good individual offense. Price Sanford, usually when you turn your back on the dribble, there's a second defender there waiting for you. There wasn't. Takes the hit and gets the bucket. When you're on the drive, guy, and you turn your back to the guy that's guarding you, usually something not good happens. Second defender usually comes, so you don't really teach that. If you're going to drive it, you got to keep the guy faced up, get your pull-up game, or get all the way to the paint and the rim. Start spinning. Usually good things don't happen.
Here's Dix trying to create, and he finds Mulvey, who gets fouled by Bilodeau.
UCLA did such a good job, guy, in the first half of not fouling, and they have 10 fouls here in this second half. Which that's what I was saying earlier about, guys, let's not play the scoreboard and go back to our old things. We did so many things good in that first half. We have to continue.
Iowa has scored more points in the second half than the 24 they scored in the first. It was one thing against SC the other night. They scored 89, but SC beat them, scored 98. Tonight, they're probably not getting the 89.
No. They would have to go on some kind of run.
And as you said, you know, Peyton Sanford's only going to play 8 minutes when this game's all said and done. That ball stolen. Traore gets it up to Harding. Back to Traore, and he scores. First basket of the night for him.
Well, Iowa's still playing. I think they can come all the way back down 25 with under 6, but I guess we've seen crazier things happen.
Sky Clark is going to bring it out. Nick Cronin really directing traffic from that sideline. And that ball will go out of bounds with 6 on the shot clock.
See, that's that pass again. I know it was Kyle in the ball screen, but Clark, give that pocket pass, short roll quickly, take the pressure off yourself, and let Will Kyle play 4-on-3.
Andrews, and that got blocked by Mulvey, and it's a shot clock violation. But what do you think of the big picture for UCLA? There was so much talk about, I mentioned in the first half a little bit, but some of Mick Cronin's comments on their road trip, critical, motivational maybe, pointed, no doubt. UCLA takes a timeout. Mick Cronin does not like the fact that this game's gotten down to 23. 14-2 Iowa run. I'll get your thoughts on that, Don, when we return.
People had as a preseason favorite. Michigan really wasn't in that mix either. So it's been interesting, but still a long way to go.
What's your feeling right now? You said you got Oregon kind of closer to that top 4 than 6, right? Is that the only other team you put in that top group?
It's hard to say because here's the thing. Oregon's got 2 losses at home. They lost to UCLA, they lost to Illinois. But what if they beat Purdue at home?
Right.
But if they lose to Purdue, are you now saying, well, they have way too many more road games now to win, so can they be in that group or be a contender? That's why it's hard to make any predictions at this point. And really have any conviction if you are going to make it. It's like we talked about the Washington game the other night, Washington-Purdue, that I didn't think there'd be a 16-4 team. Well, that means that Michigan State isn't going to go 10-4 the rest of the way. Right? They're 6-0. Right.
You're saying
that means they're going to have to go 9-5 to not finish at 16-4. I think it's more likely now that I look at it, it's more likely that they go 10-4 than 9-5.
And then 16 wins you the league.
Probably.
Wins them the league. Yeah. Iowa's shooting 71% in the second half after a 38% first half. So part of why Mick Cronin took that time out. I started to ask you, Don, they'd lost 4 in a row. There were a lot of questions. Some people saying that maybe this team's not tough enough. Mick may be saying this team doesn't want it enough. He had some very pointed public comments that got a lot of attention. What do you think of where things stand now? And
well, the interesting part is they didn't respond. I want to say it was after the Michigan game is when he made all those comments, right? So then they go on the road and lose 2 more. Right. But here we are tonight playing arguably their best game of the season. I don't even think arguably. I think this is their best. You can't look at the second half. They've obviously been playing the score.
I guess part of the question would be, is losing, and this is part of your point of how difficult this league is losing at Maryland and at Rutgers, does that mean you didn't respond? I mean, this looks like a response tonight.
If you're viewed as one of the contenders in the league, which I think at one point they were because of their defensive metrics and who they beat, Gonzaga and Arizona. It's interesting when talking about the net. Beating Gonzaga is obviously a good win. They lost to Oregon State last night.
How about that? On the road.
On the road. So that factors in all that stuff.
That's something you used to saying about Gonzaga. UCLA beat them back on the 28th of December.
You're going to see UCLA play this thing out now.
Meaning with their starters?
No, just run the clock the whole time. They need to just get this thing over with is what needs to happen.
Mick Cronin made a point this week. He was asked about leadership, and he said he has seen some in these last few weeks. Kobe Johnson, part of that list, and Sebastian Mack and his teams responded. Still some work to do in his mind tonight.
It all started with a small business.
All right, Mike, thank you. Big Ten basketball powered by Ram Trucks, built to serve. It's been an incredible performance from the opening tip from UCLA. We showed you, this is the first meeting between these two teams since December 22nd, 1990. Don, you played in that game, but Eagle Eye Iowa fans might notice another name on the box score, Chris Street, who is a legend, of course, in Iowa basketball, one of the most well-known names in Iowa basketball. The team's highest award that you can receive is the Chris Street Award. That game was in 1990, his freshman year. He died tragically a few years later. In fact, it'll be 32 years coming up on Sunday, January 19th, 1993. Died in an accident before a game. He had just played a game a few days prior against Duke, played really well. And some have described it as the most significant event in Iowa basketball history. And he's still such a big part of the program. His memory is a big part of the program. We mentioned the award. They still have a fundraiser golf tournament every year in his name, and we talked to some of the Iowa folks about it today.
Talked to Fran McCaffrey about it.
You could tell how much Chris Street means to the program.
Told a great story about Jordan Bohannon, the great Iowa Hawkeye, that Chris Street had the longest consecutive free throws made in Iowa history. Jordan Bohannon was a prolific free throw shooter, 90%er. And he tied, he got fouled in the game, 8-point game, close game. Went to the foul line, made the first to tie the record, and intentionally missed the second one in honor of Chris Street. Fran McCaffrey told us that story. It was unbelievable.
It was. You can go watch the clip and you can hear somebody before the free throw shout from the crowd, Chris. And Fran McCaffrey told us if you bring up that name to a fan who was around then, they'll remember what that was like, what his death was like it was just yesterday. His parents, Mike and Patty, still often attend games, a big part of the program. They still see his face when you walk into the locker room. And it's just amazing to hear what he means to a program nearly 32 years after his death. That free throw from Harding is good. Under 3 minutes remaining here in regulation. First 9 baskets made by UCLA. They're shooting 64% for the game. Jordan Bohannon would go on to still set the program record for free throw percentage at 88.7. Peyton Sanford, who got hurt tonight, he's at 88.8. So that's, as this season goes on, there will be another series of big free throws, no doubt, for Peyton Sanford. Just, I think one of the big stories that'll come out of this game for UCLA is no question, right? The question is, did they flip the switch? This is exactly what they did last year, January 14th. They've been losing and losing and losing, and they went on a big stretch to finish out the year. But the question for Iowa coming out of this game is the status of Peyton Sanford.
UCLA, much different team last year, much younger, and Mick coached them up and got them going for a bit, but then finished the season on a losing streak at the end of the regular season. So I think this team has much more potential to flip it around and keep it flipped around. And we'll see if tonight was the game that flipped this thing back around for them. I think it is.
Harding with the three. Why are you buying it? Why?
I just think there's more experience on this team, and I think because of new roles and guys being asked to do different things and playing a different way. I just think they have more potential that they needed. They just needed this. They needed a feel good. We played well on both sides, cleaned everything up, and I could see him going on a run.
Will Kyle's had 3 dunks tonight, and all of them have stretched the limits.
I don't think he can dunk any other way.
Collision and a foul on Stefanovic. Look at this. This is all 3 dunks have looked like some version of this.
He gets to the top of the square pretty easy.
Elbow above the rim.
Of all the good things, Guy, that we've seen tonight, and this isn't one of them, Stefanovic being on the ground. Yeah. You just wonder what the most impactful will be moving forward. It might be William Kyle tonight. It might be. That we may look 3, 4 games, 5 games from now, and he's continued to play the way he played tonight and what that does for this UCLA team.
Traore, who was part of that collision, got up, but Stefanovic remains down for UCLA after that collision. Stefanovic is a guy who you don't hear enough, you can't hear enough good things about. They love him in this program. There was a point where, we thought maybe he'd be a starter this year. He lost that starting role.
He played the most minutes on the team last year.
Yeah.
So his role changed.
His effort sure didn't. Good to see him.
That's why I said a few minutes ago, this game just needs to be over. The score has been out of reach for a long time, and just get everybody off the court healthy.
Stefanovic is okay as he goes out. Traore with Iowa in the double bonus. Steps up to shoot a couple of free throws. You know, we mentioned earlier, but I was just in the same boat UCLA was just in now, right? As they head home, a team that lost 2 games on the road, which they couldn't get stops. They did not defend. In this one, they didn't score. I was going to fall to 0-6 in quadrant 1 games this season. Traore in and out. And now Harding will tee up a 3. Illinois and Michigan State will play on Sunday. Don mentioned the Purdue and Oregon on Saturday. So could be some movement at the top of the league this weekend. Frustrating trip, a long trip.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get home. I'll be there in the early morning of Saturday. Iowa came out on Sunday, lost to SC on Tuesday, and then
well, we wish Peyton Sanford well. One of the best players in this league. He's had a tremendous career at Iowa, and hopefully it's nothing serious and he can get back out soon. But UCLA, what a performance tonight right from the start. Offensively, defensively, just took it right at him and didn't let up. Tremendous performance by Mick Cronin's team.
Iowa entered tonight as the highest scoring Iowa offense since 1988-89, the highest scoring offense in the nation at 89.5 points per game. They faced the #1 scoring defense in the league, and the #1 scoring defense won, and UCLA shot 62% to go with it.